Hi, welcome to Accelerated Engineering. This is the Beginner's Guide Part 4, where I intend to cover my top 10 basic functions that can be found in Excel. If you were looking for a guide or a tutorial on something different, let me know in the comments so that I can get started making that. I'm going to start off today with the sum function. I have a separate tutorial that covers the sum function. This is just going to cover some basic parts of it. The sum function adds things up, and it can do that in a number of ways. I can add numbers together by entering numbers directly as arguments for the function. I can add up multiple different numbers referenced by cell, like this. Oops. And I can add a range of cells, or I can add all of the outputs to the formulas above in the same way. The second function is the count function. And what the count function does is it counts numerical values in whatever range is fed to it. So in this case, if I feed the count function the range of numbers and values, it will return the number of values, the number of numerical values that are in this range. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's not a number, that's not a number. 7. If I change any of these to numbers, or change this to a different value, then it will update accordingly. And that's the count function. The average function takes the numerical average of however many numbers are fed to it. So in this case, feeding it the same data set, it returns an average of 71 point something, taking the numerical values and ignoring the text values in this case. This gives you the numerical average. For example, if I were to take this number and multiply it by 7, I should get the same as if I took the sum of the same range. Oops. Same as if I took the sum of the same range. There we go, that worked better. What the max function does is it returns the largest value in a range of numbers. In this case, 250, the largest one here. If we change that to something else, it will always return the largest value in this set. If I keep squishing that down, then it will just keep on bringing out the largest value in the set. And again, it ignores these text values. The min function does exactly the opposite of max. It returns the smallest number, or the lowest number. In this case, 12, all the way down here. Now, interesting thing about the min function is that if you enter a negative number, of course, it will bring back the lowest negative number, the furthest number below 0. So that's important if you want to get the the largest negative number. You could use the min function for that. The time function, it helps to deal with how Excel works with times. It requires an input of hours, minutes, and seconds. So if I wanted to generate the time 3:45 p.m., I would say it's 15 hours, 45 minutes, and 0 seconds. Close that off, and it gives me the time 3:45 p.m. Now, an important thing to know about how Excel works with dates and times is that if I look at this as an actual number, it says this is about 2/3 of the way through the day, and it returns that as a decimal. It's not precisely that number. If I increase the number of decimals shown, then it will bring out more decimal values. This is not to worry. That's just how Excel sees time. I convert it back to a number, it rounds it off for display, but if I ever bring it back to a time, then it will always show 3:45 p.m. Date is the daily analog to time. If I want to generate today's date and have it be a fixed value, one that doesn't change, I'll say 2023, the year, oops, and then the month is the second month, and today's the 12th, so we're going to go with the 12th day. When I bring that out, it spits out a date, and it already knows that this is going to be a date, so it spit it out as a date. If I similarly convert this to a number, it spits out a number inside of Excel's format. If you ever see a number like this, where you're expecting to see a date, it's probably just a formatting issue. Change to short date, or if you like it better, interpret it as a long date. And then you'll get the answer that you're kind of looking for. XLOOKUP is useful for bringing back information related to other information. So in this case, what I would like to do in my formula is I would like to be able to type in a last name and return the first name, because from my table. So in this case, I'm going to say that I want to use the XLOOKUP. I'm going to input my values over here in cell A3. I want to find the first name, so I'm going to give it the last name. I'm going to want to find the first name, and that's it. Throws a not available error because I haven't given it anything. If I type in Frey, then it returns the value Marley, which is exactly what I wanted it to do. It brought back the first name of whoever it was that I was looking for. If I go with Hayes, it'll update with Morrigan. If I type in Solis, it brings back Giuseppe. If you want to know how I generated all of these names, check out the tutorial, or the workshop, pardon me, on the random name generator. That's XLOOKUP. The if function tests conditionals. That's probably the best way to say it. So for example, I want to know if these two values are equal. I'm going to check. Say, if this is equal to that, well, tell me that it's true. And if it's not, tell me that it's false. Hey, look, it's true. 56 is equal to 56. If I change this to something else, it goes, hey, those two values aren't equal anymore. It returns a false value. Now, I can be a little bit more descriptive with some of these. I can replace false with, hey, that doesn't match. And that's what it will show instead. If I show two matching values, then it will show true, the way that I've defined it right now. And if I give it two different values, it says, hey, that doesn't match. I can also test against an absolute conditional. I'm going to take this again and say, instead of checking against if two things are equal, what I want to know is, does that value equal 5? And I can check. It says, no, 4 does not equal 5. But 5 equals 5. 6 does not equal 5. I can play around with this equality here and say, I actually want to know instead if A7 is less than 5. And then this message doesn't make sense. I'm going to change it back to false. Okay, 6 is not less than 5. 4 is less than 5. 5 is not less than 5. 5 is equal to 5. And minus 456 is definitely less than 5. So it returns a true value. And if I put in a name or something, it says, I don't know, that's not a number. And it brings back false. Function number 10, now. Now is a special function known as a volatile function. And if it returns numbers like that, it just means that the column is not wide enough. You can stretch that out. What now does is it returns the date and time the last time that the spreadsheet updated. So for example, right now it is 18:27 or 6:27 p.m. Conveniently, I just saw the time change on my clock, on my system clock. So if I do something in another cell and force it to update, you can see that the time actually updated. Delete that. The reason that this is a special function is because it is called volatile. It updates every time that the spreadsheet updates. If I change the format of this cell to show me times and up to seconds, for example, let's go with that one there. It will show me that the last time the spreadsheet updated was at 1800 hours, 28 minutes, and 14 seconds. When I update, it now shows 1828.49, 1828.52, 1828.54, and it will keep updating to the nearest second every time that the spreadsheet updates, or every time that the value changes in the spreadsheet. It's a very useful tool for generating the times presently. Special note, side note, if you only want one that deals with days, you can instead use the function today. And this is kind of thrown in as a bonus. It always returns today's date. Now can also be used to give you the time, but if you only want it to return the date, you can change the format of the cell and it will give the just the date information. If we look at it using these converted to numbers, to Excel's default number value, you'll notice that they are slightly different because the date and time information is still present. The today function has no time information. The now function has time information. And that's kind of useful. Anyway, that concludes the guide to the top 10 functions, or at least what I think are the top 10 functions inside of Microsoft Excel. Please stay tuned for part 5, where we will be looking at how to copy and paste in some special ways.